Imagine this, 1 second. Everything you rely on is right there, working perfectly. The next, total silence. No phone buzz, no humming fridge, no car starting up. It's not just a blackout, it's an EMP, and it's real. One big electromagnetic pulse from a solar flare or high-altitude blast, and poof, your electronics are toast. But here's where it gets serious. No internet, no emergency calls, no Google to save you. And while most of us would be totally lost in that moment, there are a few simple, cheap items that could still work. Things you might already have lying around. They could literally mean the difference between calm and chaos. Stick around because we're talking about 10 household items that can be lifesavers in an EMP blackout. Point 1. Manual hand tools, the basics that save the day. Picture this scenario. You wake up to a silent, powerless world. No phone, no lights. And most importantly, no one to call for help. Now imagine something breaks, a pipe bursts, a door won't shut, or you need to chop wood to keep warm. This is where manual hand tools become your survival MVPs. Think about it. A hammer doesn't need power. A wrench won't complain about a dead battery. A handsaw, crowbar, and screwdriver, they're as reliable today as they were 100 years ago. When all electronics go silent, the tools your grandpa swore by become invaluable. And it's not just about owning them, it's about knowing how to use them. What good is a handsaw if you've never even held one? And here's a wake-up call. Over 60% of Americans under 45 haven't used basic tools like saws or wrenches in their lifetime. Self-reliance isn't just an old-fashioned virtue anymore. It's a necessity. When society unplugs, you become the handyman of your household. Now let's talk scenarios. It's day 3 of the blackout. A storm damages your roof, and rain is pouring in. Do you know how to patch it? Or you might need to build a barricade to keep out unwanted visitors. Can you? Shelter, safety, warmth, manual tools are key to all three. And here's a scary thought. Shortages are creeping in. Rural areas especially are reporting dwindling supplies of handsaws, wrenches, and screwdrivers in hardware stores. If essential tools become scarce now, imagine how hard they'll be to find when everyone's scrambling for them. The good news? Tools are cheap and available right now. Grab a basic kit and stash it away. Imagine a world where every electronic gadget is dead weight. What's left are simple, dependable tools that don't rely on buttons or batteries. And when that day comes, you'll be glad you went old school. Point 2. Devices stored in a Faraday cage. Protect your lifeline. Here's a hard truth. An EMP doesn't just shut off power. It fries everything with a circuit, from your phone and toaster to your car and generator. Say goodbye to Google, GPS, and every modern convenience you've grown used to. But here's the thing. You can protect some of these items, and it doesn't require a fancy bunker or military-grade equipment. Enter the Faraday cage, a simple DIY solution to keep your electronics safe from an electromagnetic pulse. The concept is straightforward. By shielding your devices in a conductive enclosure like a metal trash can, you block out that surge of energy. And the best part? Setting one up is cheap and easy. Here's how you do it. Grab a galvanized steel trash can with a tight-fitting lid. Line the inside with cardboard to prevent direct contact with the metal. Use aluminum tape to seal any possible gaps. That's it. Congratulations. You now have a homegrown Faraday cage. What should you store in it? Start small. Think walkie-talkies, a hand crank radio, and maybe a solar charger. These devices can be lifesavers, keeping you connected and informed when the world falls silent. A basic ham radio can even give you crucial updates when all else fails. It's easy to overlook this, but communication becomes critical during chaos. FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security both list Faraday cages as effective protection against an EMP. Yet how many of us actually have one ready? Most people throw out steel bins, ammo boxes, and old filing cabinets without realizing they could quickly convert them into protective storage. And here's why this matters. The world won't wait for you to adapt. When an EMP strikes, you either have what you need or you don't. Those who've prepared can still communicate, power small devices, and stay updated. Those who haven't, well, they're on their own. No one likes to think about worst-case scenarios. But prepping doesn't have to mean paranoia. A simple trash can, properly lined, can turn into a life-saving investment. When all circuits crash, what you've stored in your Faraday cage could be the only trace of modern convenience left. Point 3. Bicycles, the unsung hero of transportation. Imagine this. You're stuck in gridlock, surrounded by stalled cars. The roads are chaos, people are panicking, and you can't even walk 5 feet without bumping into trouble. Sounds like every apocalypse movie ever, right? Well, in an EMP scenario, this could be your reality. Here's the deal. Modern cars are packed with tech, 50 to 100 microchips to be exact per vehicle. An EMP would fry them all. That fancy SUV? it's now a 3,000-pound paperweight. And public transport? Forget about it. But one mode of transportation emerges as the quiet hero, a bicycle. No circuits, no batteries, no software updates, just good old-fashioned pedals, chains, and muscle power. A bike turns a chaotic gridlock into a simple commute. Where cars are stranded, you can glide by. Where panic reigns, you can stay mobile. And it's not just about mobility. Imagine having to get supplies from a nearby store or reaching a loved one across town. A bike makes that possible when walking isn't an option. Plus, there's no reliance on fuel, a resource that will vanish faster than you can imagine post-EMP. But here's a question. How many people actually have a working bike? According to census data, fewer than 12% of Americans use a bike regularly, and for emergencies, an even smaller number. Bikes are also cheap compared to cars, yet most people don't even think of them as part of their survival gear. What else? Some e-bikes could work too, especially if they're kept in a Faraday cage. Models with off-grid charging options give you even more flexibility. But for the average person, a rugged old-school bike with spare tires, basic repair tools, and maybe even a basket for carrying supplies will do the trick. Don't wait for disaster to strike before dusting off that old bike in your garage. The streets may fall silent, but with wheels under you, you stay ahead of the game. Bikes turn survival into simplicity. No fuel, no problem. EMP or no EMP, pedal your way through the chaos and leave the stalled world behind. Point 4. Wood-burning stove or fire pit. Heat, cook, survive. Picture yourself in the dead of winter. It's freezing outside, the wind is howling, and the power is out for good. Without heat, you can't cook, you can't boil water, and staying warm becomes a daily battle. Now imagine if you had a wood-burning stove or even a simple fire pit. That's your ticket to survival. Unlike electric stoves or propane heaters that are utterly useless without power, a wood-burning stove doesn't care about grid outages. All it needs is wood branches, logs, even scrap lumber, and you've got heat, a way to prepare food, and a means to purify water. Plus, they're reliable and affordable. You can pick up a basic camping fire pit or an old wood stove for under $100 in plenty of places. Think about how many people depend on electricity to heat their homes. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, nearly half of American households rely on electric heat. That means millions of families would be left freezing after an EMP shutdown. But not you. You're the neighbor with the fire roaring, sipping hot coffee while others huddle under blankets. Here's where it gets real. Hypothermia doesn't just happen in below freezing temperatures. Wet clothes, poor insulation, and temps under 50 FF can be deadly, especially for kids, the elderly, or anyone with health issues. FEMA consistently warns that extreme cold after disasters is a silent killer, one most people underestimate. Your wood-burning stove is more than a heat source, it's survival security. Whether it's baking bread, simmering soup, or just keeping frostbite at bay, it gives you an edge in a powerless world. Not to mention, wood is everywhere. Collect branches now, stack logs, and prepare before winter hits and the scramble begins. The key takeaway? You can't control the weather, but you can control how prepared you are for it. A good stove or pit in the backyard isn't just a luxury, it's a lifesaver. Don't wait until the first freeze to figure it out. Build now, stay warm later. Point 5. Crank or battery-powered radio, your survival shortcut to information. When the lights go out and the internet goes dark, there's one thing you'll miss even more than power: information. What's happening out there? Is it safe? Is help on the way? Unfortunately, when an EMP takes down the grid, your phone, tablet, and even the cell towers depend on power. Those emergency lifelines, gone. This is where a crank-powered or battery-powered radio saves the day. It's like having a direct line to the outside world, even when everything else is cut off. With just a few turns of a handle, or a set of spare batteries, you can stay connected to emergency broadcasts, NOAA weather alerts, and crucial updates about what's coming next. Imagine sitting in the dark not knowing whether a storm is coming, if evacuation orders have been given, or if rescue crews are nearby. It's a terrifying feeling to feel so isolated. During disasters like Hurricane Ian, entire communities were in that exact situation. No cell service, no updates, and total confusion. But guess who had an edge? The folks with crank radios. These devices pulled in critical news, like which roads to avoid and where to find food or medical help. Modern emergency radios come with some fun extras too. Many models have built-in flashlights, USB ports to charge small devices, and even solar panels as a backup power source. Plus, they're affordable. For less than $30, you can snag a decent one that could literally save your life when the world goes quiet. Here's a bonus tip. Store your radio in a Faraday cage to protect it from the EMP itself. It's a simple precaution that ensures your all-important communication tool is still functional when the power spike hits. FEMA and NOAA recommend everyone have an emergency radio in their disaster kit. The question is, are you one of the few who listened? Information isn't just power in a blackout scenario, it's survival. A crank radio guarantees you hear the news that matters most,
even if everyone else is in the dark. When the grid goes silent, will you know what's happening, or will you be left guessing? Point 6. Candles, oil lamps and lanterns, bringing light to the darkness. The first time the power goes out, most people instinctively grab their phone or a flashlight. But what happens when the batteries die and the backup reserves are gone? That's when people start to panic. Darkness isn't just inconvenient, it's unsettling. Without light, your world feels smaller, scarier, and a lot less secure. Candles, oil lamps, and lanterns are some of the oldest lighting solutions. No electronics, no batteries, no problem. They're simple, reliable, and virtually disaster-proof. A single candle can light a small room, provide comfort, and help you see what you're doing in the chaos. Oil lamps, when properly filled and maintained, burn longer and brighter, perfect for prolonged blackouts. And lanterns, they distribute light evenly and safely, making them great for group settings. Now here's something to think about. Most Americans are used to losing power for just a few hours a year. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, less than 6 hours annually on average. That means the majority of us have never spent more than one evening in total darkness. An EMP blackout changes all of that. We're talking days, weeks, or even months without light. Are you ready for that? Consider this. It's the second or third night of an EMP-induced power outage. Your family can't see their hands in front of their faces. Do you have candles or lanterns ready to go? Better yet, do you know how to use them? It's not just about having the supplies, it's about understanding their importance. Of course, there's a strategic side to lighting in a crisis. Sure, you want light for yourself, but you don't want to signal to the entire neighborhood that your home is prepared. Keeping curtains drawn and using low-profile lighting can help you stay safe while staying lit. Make your home a refuge, not a target. Stock up now on emergency candles, oil lamps, and lanterns. Add extra wicks, lamp oil, and matches to your kit, and make sure these supplies are easy to grab when you need them most. When the world goes dark, having a little light isn't just a comfort, it can be the difference between fear and calm.
Point 7. Mechanical water pump or gravity filter. Water is everything. Here's a reality check. Your family can go weeks without food, but without water? 3 days max, and the clock's ticking. Now imagine waking on day 4 of an EMP event. No tap water, no water bottles in stores, and your neighbors? They're dragging empty jugs door to door, begging for a drop. Sound dramatic? It's not. During the infamous 2003 Northeast blackout, municipal water systems in parts of the US and Canada failed within mere hours. That's because over 90% of US water utilities depend on electric pumps and advanced monitoring. When those systems go down, it's game over. Your kitchen faucet, shower, and even flushing your toilet all shut off like a bad joke. How would you get water for your family right now? Here's where gravity-fed filters or manual water pumps step in as actual game changers. Take the Life Straw or Berkey filter. They're lightweight, easy to use, and they don't need any power. Just pour in dirty water, and out comes 99% clean, drinkable water. These filters are trusted in disaster zones worldwide for good reason. They work. Have a private well? You're in luck, but only if you prep ahead. A manual deep well pump turns your backyard into your personal water source. No fancy gadgets, no batteries, just good old elbow grease. With some brands, you can pull clean water from as deep as 200 feet. Think about it. While everyone else is scrambling, you're pumping fresh water at home. Here's the deal, though. Natural water sources like rivers and lakes aren't safe unless treated. They're magnets for bacteria, sewage runoff, and chemicals. Skipping filtration isn't an option unless you enjoy gambling with waterborne illnesses. During events like the 2021 Texas freeze, even a few days without clean water led to a spike in hospital cases. An EMP would make that look like child's play. To get ahead, store at least a gallon of clean water per person per day for 2 weeks. Pair that with a gravity-fed filter, a manual pump if you're on a well, and purification tablets as backups. Water is life. If you wait until the taps run dry, you'll regret it. Point 8. Manual locks and safes. When security gets real. Picture this. Pitch black skies, no power, no backup, and you're locked in your home, desperately trying to keep your family safe. Then it happens. A sound outside. Not a branch falling or a dog barking. This is deliberate. Slow footsteps coming toward your front door. You freeze. Your heart pounds. Someone's testing the lock. Now imagine reaching for your high-tech keypad safe to grab a flashlight, weapon, or some quick cash. But here's the kicker. It doesn't respond. The keypad's dead, locked tight, useless in an EMP aftermath. Unfortunately, this isn't a Hollywood script. It's the inevitable failure of electronic locks and safes when the power's gone for good. While smart locks and biometric safes make life easier now, they're completely dependent on electricity. With the surge from an EMP, Even the most state-of-the-art system turns into a hunk of junk. CISA has already flagged this for years. Unprotected electronics, including modern locking mechanisms, are sitting ducks. Here's a better plan. Go manual. Mechanical locks and good old-fashioned combination safes don't rely on a power source. Sturdy deadbolt locks, chains, and reinforced frames on windows are your first line of defense. Whether it's opportunists or outright looters, manual security gives you the advantage when the grid's down. But don't stop at just physical barriers. Think about placement too. Use layers of security. The strongest locks for exterior doors and storage spaces for essentials like food, water, or gear. If you rely on a safe, choose one with a traditional combo dial. You know, the ones they've been using successfully for decades. Light plays a big role in this too. Grab some solar-powered motion-activated lights and point them inward toward your property, not out to the road where you might advertise your setup. Combined with manual locks, you've turned your home into a nearly unscalable Fort Knox. It's simple math. When people get desperate, they get dangerous. A few steps now can protect your most valuable asset, your family, when everything else falls apart. Don't wait until someone's testing your locks at 2 a.m. Point 9. Non-electric lighting. Bring light to the darkness. Here's a thought. If the power went out tonight, how would you light your home? No, your flashlight app isn't an answer. Because without a charge or signal, that smartphone of yours is basically a paperweight. And candles, sure, they're cozy in theory, until you have to rely on them every single night. What you need is reliable, non-electric, and safe lighting. Solar lanterns are a lifesaver in long-term outages. Leave them outside during the day, and they'll give you enough glow when night falls. No batteries, no fuel required, just sunlight. And the best part, they can last for years if you treat them right. But solar lights are just the tip of the iceberg. Kerosene lamps are another solid option. They've been around forever, and for good reason. They're dependable. Just keep some extra kerosene on hand, and these could get you through weeks or even months. Then there's the humble flashlight. Hand crank models are perfect, since they don't need batteries. A few minutes of cranking provides hours of light. And if you want hands-free options, get yourself a headlamp. It's not only practical but also a game changer if you're working on repairs or navigating your home in the dark. Here's the one thing most people forget: fire safety. When using open flames like candles or lanterns, you've got to be cautious. During disasters, house fires from accidental knockovers become a real risk. Have a fire extinguisher handy and make sure kids are nowhere near open flames. And here's a tip for keeping solar stuff charged safely. Store them in a makeshift Faraday cage when not in use. A mesh chicken wire box, or even a metal trash can lined with cardboard will do the trick. When an EMP hits, the last thing you want is to lose your backup lighting source. The point is, don't think you can ride out the chaos with that flimsy lighter you dug out of a junk drawer. Invest in diverse lighting options now, so you're not fumbling around in the dark when everything else fails. Point 10. Non-electric vehicles. Old school and always reliable. Picture this. You wake up to a silent world where nothing works. You grab your car keys, head to the driveway, and twist the ignition. Dead silence, not even a faint click. That state-of-the-art SUV with its onboard computer? Completely useless. Welcome to the reality of an EMP event. Cars built after the 80s are packed with sensitive electronics, with some models dependent on as many as 100 microchips. It only takes one electromagnetic pulse to fry them all. Your modern vehicle wouldn't even start, making it nothing more than a very expensive parking ornament. However, cars made before 1980 are a different story. These older models, built with carburetors and simple mechanics, were designed in an era before computers were slapped into everything. They don't rely on circuit boards or sensors, meaning they're much more likely to survive an EMP attack. But it's not just about classic cars. Motorcycles, bikes, and even small dirt bikes with minimal electronics suddenly become worth their weight in gold when modern transportation fails. Imagine being able to zip past stranded vehicles, freely maneuver through city chaos, or cycle to a remote safe zone, all while everyone else is stuck. And here's a pro tip. If you're serious about prepping, consider storing an EMP-resistant vehicle in a Faraday cage or steel garage. Paired with some extra fuel and repair tools, this could be your lifeline when everything else is grounded. Transportation isn't just about convenience in a crisis. It's essential for everything, from fetching water to accessing medical care, or simply relocating when your immediate environment becomes unsafe. FEMA has repeatedly warned that transportation disruption after a power grid collapse can quickly escalate into public safety nightmares. When everyone else is stuck on foot, your ability to move gives you options, and options mean survival. Don't brush off that old pickup in the back of the lot, or the oil-leaking bike your neighbor's giving away. One day, that forgotten relic might be the only thing that starts when you need it most.